I used to think that those that were searching for truth, earnestly searching for truth, wholeheartedly searching for truth, would eventually find truth. But then the more you study the scriptures, the more you realize that the ultimate prize of life eternal is not so easy to attain. Isn't that why they say, but it's a narrow road, the road to life? Whereas the alternative is, I call this the road to nowhere, but the Bible might say that's the broad and spacious road leading to destruction. Just a little example, but I'm going to call it the road to nowhere. The reason why I'm going to call it the road to nowhere is not because of the song, although I do like the song by Talking Heads, an excellent band of the 80s. The reason why I'm calling it the road to nowhere is this is me. This is just me treading water like I have done for the last 2 years, maybe more. But for 2 years of posting, I'm on this road to nowhere. I'm not making any progress whatsoever on finding this road to life. Have I got regrets at this stage now? Well, yes. You have regrets because you sometimes feel that you've attained something very special and precious in this search, only to find out that it's not that precious after all. You know, it's almost like striving after the wind. You never really can get hold of that. And that's how it's feeling. It's starting to feel as if I'm never really going to get the answers I'm looking for. I may be in for some disappointments, some huge disappointments with this continuing truth-seeking adventure. I may find that I'm in the same position as Charlton Heston was when he discovered the Statue of Liberty during the Planet of the Apes original film. I may find I'm in a similar situation to that. I may just find that ones that we thought were upright and had integrity values, namely our former religion, we may find out that they're not as white as we held them in such high esteem. And that for me will be my Charlton Heston Planet of the Apes moment. But does that mean that God's purpose is going to be derailed in any way? It only means that people have been found out along the way. They've been found out to be not true Christians, if you like. So can we find a way around this? Or can I find a way around this to stop myself treading water and to start moving in a direction which is going to lead to me having life eternal? Because certainly at the moment, if Christ came back, that would be it for me. I would be cannon fodder, slaughtered along with everyone else. If I didn't have such a thinking opinion on this, which never seems to leave me lately, only for a brief respite when I'm doing some filming at the festivals, but in between and at work and in my sleep, I'm thinking about this constantly. And I'm thinking that this coming, it's not an attack, is it? But this coming legal confrontation where they're trying to subpoena and get records submitted over the court that go back many, many years regarding the child abuse within our former religion. Is this where I am going to find myself completely and utterly shocked? Am I going to be given the evidence that something has gone awry? You know, they haven't acted by the law. For me, there's no evidence at the moment, and I want to bring in Raymond France's Crisis of Conscience book, because why wouldn't Raymond, if he was in that inner circle, and look at it from a logical standpoint, if he was privy to all that inner workings of the governing body, why wouldn't he mention the fact that child abuse was a problem within the hierarchy of the religion? Can you find me an example in the Crisis of Conscience where he mentions it? He mentions that things are not all hunky-dory, you know, that there's things that didn't sit well with him, but he doesn't mention anything about abuses being covered up by the governing body. The one thing I can admit to is that former Jehovah's Witnesses have brought some quite heinous practices into that religion instead of leaving them all behind. But I can't, still at this point now, I still can't find that the whole of that religion, because I still know people that attend. Obviously my mother, you know, she's been there since 1961. And I know so many countless Jehovah's Witnesses who attend that are really, really Christian, upright people. And it's so difficult to see the whole of that organization as being defiled. And it's even more difficult to think that the governing body, the figureheads of that religion, would knowingly suppress something that could lead to someone escaping true justice over a heinous act of child abuse. But maybe it has to go to court. Maybe this could well be the start of religion being attacked. Jehovah's Witnesses are no different from any other religion, and so all religion will eventually be attacked. But I still can't see that the preaching work will come to an end unless Jehovah deems it such. If Jehovah decided that the preaching work as we know it then needs to move into a new area and the message changes, then so be it. I can see that happening, and I can see the Great Tribulation happening. Oh, we've had this argument, me and John. Me and John have toed and froed over this bloody tribulation of the Romans 70 AD. I can't see his point of view, he can't see mine. Yes, he put together a structured argument. Quite wonderful. Yes, he's an eloquent orator. I've heard his videos when he used to post regularly, and he's very, very knowledgeable. And I have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of respect for anybody that leaves a comment. You know, it doesn't matter to me if you hate me. You know, if you dislike me, it doesn't matter to me that. What matters is, am I going to get myself, there it is, there, on that? Because at the moment, I'm just pissing against the wind and going nowhere. And that is why I listen to everybody. Another one of my favourites is someone has been persecuted in the past for following his convictions of attending meetings and what have you. And I can relate to that, because when I used to attend and when I used to pioneer, I always felt as if there was like unseen spirits that were trying to stop me from doing God's work. Because it is God's work, isn't it? If you're pioneering and your heart's in it and you're taking that gospel to people, you feel as if you're doing God's work. I don't want to be presumptuous, and I don't want to come across as pious. I'm not like that now. I left all that in the 80s and 90s. I like to think of myself as someone more humble, who's able to listen to everybody's point of view. But you do see yourself as an ambassador of God's word when you're a Jehovah's Witness. And sometimes I could swear that at the beginning of, say, a meeting or something like that, I felt as if there was someone, seen spirits that were trying to stop me from getting there. Now, it could just be psychosomatic, and we know that the mind can do daft things, you know, can make you believe things that perhaps are not true. But I just felt as if there was just something that was trying to stop me from being a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know. Maybe someone can relate to that because he's gone through similar things. He's told me about that, and that's quite an eye-opener for me. But I do appreciate everything you're saying. I can't get my head round the tribulation already have taken place. I just can't get my head round it. Even though you've put together a wonderfully structured argument for me, I'm still finding it really difficult. I still believe in Genesis 3:15. I know that God was very, very angry with the serpent when he made that utterance, and when he said that he'd put this division between the two seeds. I believe that Jesus, when he died, the serpent then bruised him in that ankle. But I do not find the evidence yet that the serpent has received a bruising to the head. And yet the Bible says that that takes place, doesn't it? And I don't find this evidence of Babylon the Great being removed yet. And yet, if I've got to believe in John's philosophy, I've got to believe all that took place within the realms of him explaining it to me. And I just can't get my head around it, John. It's just not computing. It's not settling down in my mind. You'll probably think, oh, Marty, you are so indoctrinated. But I'm not, John. I'm on the outside looking in. You know, like the Neil Sedaka song, standing on the outside, looking in. That's how I feel now. I ain't got everlasting life. I ain't going to the road to life. You know that, John. You know I'm on the road to nowhere. You know that this is where I am right at the moment. Going absolutely nowhere, am I? Just treading water. But asking an awful lot of questions from y'all. And to your credit, you're answering me. Although some people are saying, Marty, see a psychiatrist. You're not well. Yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. That's fine. But I am pretty well. I can assure you, I've got a really good job. Right? I'm in a very privileged position. I shouldn't really want this system to end because I don't have any debts. I don't owe nothing to anybody. And I have plenty of, lolly money. But will it make me happy? No, it's not making me happy. Because I ain't doing anything to put a smile on God's face. Am I? I'm on an independent road to the one that he will have give some kind of blessing to. So I ain't putting a smile on the angels' faces. I ain't putting a smile on Jehovah's face. He's disappointed in me. There were a time where he probably liked me, when I was a good little Christian and doing the works of a Christian. But he won't like me now. And that irks me. It irks me because I feel as if I'm so close to cracking this and finally getting the answers I'm looking for. So I'm going to make a bit of a promise to you now. I think it's only fair. Then this promise is, if Watchtower comes a crashing down, if the governing body goes before the group of lawyers and they come crashing down and the preaching work stops dead without this message change taking place, it just stops dead and the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses comes crashing down, then I will have to admit defeat. I will have to say, bloody hell, I didn't see that coming. I can do that. I'm humble enough to admit I've made a mistake if that happens. But you also have to do the same. If the governing body go before this group of lawyers and they're not prosecuted and they can find nothing wrong with what they've done. There's no evidence to support anything that has been thrown at them, and they get off, then you will have to admit defeat, because where would you then take your argument after that? If it had been proven that there's no way in the world that they've knowingly suppressed any evidence regarding child abusers and protecting them through what you've been saying, would you then look to take an argument somewhere else against them? Or would you just think, well, what could you think? If they got away with such a thing and it was proven in the courtroom that, you know, there was just no way they had anything to do with it, how will you feel? Will you still want to attack them on something else? Okay, let's look at it another way. Third little point to consider. It's true, and they find that one or two governing body members have knowingly suppressed very detailed accounts of known child abusers in the Jehovah's Witness religious world headquarters somewhere. You know, either Warwick or the old one at New York, Brooklyn Heights, and just say, or any of the London ones or any of the Australia ones, that some of the governing body members knew that these heinous things were going on and they deliberately suppressed it. Then, if only they were found out to have done that, and then they were prosecuted, just say a minority, one or two of them, then you'd be looking at replacements. Hear me out. The 144,000 that the Jehovah's Witnesses believe in has to be sealed before the end, before they're snatched away. It has to be a sealed number. And if some don't make the grade and some fall short, and Raymond is an example of that, he fell short. So he no longer met the grade of being counted as part of the seed class, or 144,000. And so he would have then received, somewhere along the line, a replacement. And this is what's been happening. But it has to eventually amount to what they say it is. 144,000. I know it seems like a bit of a dream, doesn't it? The only Jehovah's Witnesses are saying there's 144,000. That's why we need to just imagine that they're right on this particular thing. Then what? Then where do we take our argument after that? Just two members of the governing body during the trials, during the up-and-coming court case, were found to have been guilty of suppressing evidence, but the rest weren't. It just means that Satan has got a victory, that Satan has managed to bruise God's woman's seed. But does it really mean that God's purpose is suddenly derailed? Can God not just choose someone else? Maybe not a full organization as such, but can he not just choose more individual members to take the place of those that have failed that test and dropped out? Well, there's a question for you. Can he? Now you tell me. Thank you very much. And we will see you again sometime. Right, I'm away for a few days, so I'll just be looking at some of your postings when you do it. Yeah, I've got to go away and earn a lot of money. Well, not a lot of money, but thousands, you know. Not millions. I'm not a millionaire. Don't get me wrong. Got a few quid, but I'm not a millionaire. But I don't have to worry about much, which is good. Right, stop boasting, Martin. Stop telling everybody that you're financially secure and you have no worries. Yeah, and I don't have a wife either. Yeah, that's that little chapter. I'll save that one for another time. That's interesting, that one. Good Catholic girl as well. Marries a Jehovah's Witness. Yeah, it's another story. I'll let you know about that another time. See you anyway. Bye-bye.